Captain Elias Ford stood on the bridge of the Defiance, a ship hidden in the shadow of an asteroid. The vast quiet of space surrounded them, broken only by the low buzz of screens and soft voices of his crew. Their calm work filled the room. "Captain, there's something big on the edge of our sector," Jonah, his second-in-command, said without alarm. His voice still carried a note of urgency that Elias knew well. "Show it," Elias ordered, calm and clear. The view on the main screen zoomed in on a dark, massive shape against the stars. It was the Dominion, an imperial warship known for its size and power. Its hull, covered in countless lights, looked like a grim starfield. "Getting visuals now," Jonah added, adjusting the controls. The ship's image grew clearer, its lights cold and sharp. Elias didn't flinch. "What can we do?" "We could hide, blend in with the belt," Jonah suggested, ready at his console. Elias chuckled lightly. "And then what? Hope they leave?" He shook his head. "No, activate stealth mode and ready the pulse cannons. Quietly. Let's keep our edge." "Stealth mode, yes," Jonah confirmed. The ship hummed softly as it hid from enemy scans. The crew worked quietly, each move precise. They trusted Elias, a captain who saw through darkness and dared to hope. Elias looked around. "This fight isn't just to survive," he started, his voice low but firm. "It's to show we're not scared. Not now, not ever." The Defiance moved silently, blending with the rocks. Elias felt the weight of the battle ahead, but there was no fear, just the steady pulse of a leader ready to face whatever came. Above, the stars shone on, silent witnesses to another echo of conflict in the endless dark of space. As the Defiance weaved through the asteroid field, its stealth mode masking its signature against the clutter of rocky debris, Captain Elias Ford maintained his watchful vigilance. The bitter cold of space contrasted sharply with the warmth emanating from the ship's control panels, which bathed the bridge in a soft, eerie glow. Jonah, standing a few steps away, monitored the incoming data, his eyes scanning the flickering screens. "Sir, the Dominion is hailing us. They're demanding a response." Jonah's voice cut through the silence, crisp and wary. Elias turned, his eyes narrowing. "Open a channel. Let's not keep them waiting." The view screen shifted, now displaying the stern face of Admiral Crane, his eyes as cold as the void outside. "This is Admiral Crane of the Galactic Empire. You are in violation of Imperial domain. Surrender your ship immediately, or we will open fire." The threat hung in the air, thick as the tension that tightened Elias's jaw. He tasted the metallic tang of anticipation on his tongue as he measured his next words carefully. "Admiral, we're just a mining ship. We've strayed off course, that's all. Give us a moment to correct our path," Elias replied, his tone laced with a feigned confusion that he hoped would buy them time. Crane's laughter was short and humorless. "You expect me to believe that, Captain? We've decrypted your logs. We know you're not miners. Prepare to be boarded." Elias cut the transmission abruptly, his hand slamming down on the console. He turned to his crew, his gaze sweeping over their anxious faces. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Jonah, plot a course through the thickest part of the belt." The ship lurched as it dove deeper into the asteroid field. The exterior panels creaked under the strain of rapid maneuvers, and the stale air of the bridge was tinged with the sharp scent of electrical discharge from overloaded circuits. "Shields at 76% and dropping," one of the crew called out, his voice steady despite the flicker of worry in his eyes. Elias nodded, feeling the deck vibrate under his feet as they dodged another volley of fire. "Keep us moving, Jonah." "Any sign of their fighters?" "Not yet, but they won't be far behind," Jonah replied, his fingers flying over the illuminated controls. In the dim light, Elias could see his crew's determination as they worked relentlessly. Their silent courage filled him with a fierce pride. He knew these were not warriors by training, but they were brave beyond measure. Suddenly, a bright flare illuminated the bridge as a nearby asteroid exploded, the result of an enemy missile. The blast sent a jolt through the ship, the taste of dust and debris seeping into the air. "Damage report!" Elias demanded, gripping the console to steady himself. "Minor damage to the outer hull, but it's nothing we can't handle," Jonah reported back, relief evident in his tone. Elias took a deep breath, the coolness of the recycled air calming his nerves. "All right, let's keep this dance going. They might be bigger, but we're quicker. Let's show them what we can do." As the Defiance darted through the asteroid belt, its movements as fluid as a river carving through an ancient gorge, Captain Elias Ford kept his eyes fixed on the view screen. The silence of space was palpable, filled only with the soft whir of the ship's life support. Jonah, vigilant at his station, relayed updates in a calm yet firm tone, ensuring every crew member was synchronized with the captain's tactics. "Captain, they're adjusting their trajectory. They're matching our maneuvers step for step," Jonah reported, his voice tinged with a hint of admiration for the adversary's persistence. "Let's weave a little tighter then. Reroute power to thrusters," Elias commanded, his fingers grazing over the cold, smooth console, adjusting their path to create a labyrinth of rock and ice between them and the Dominion. The ship responded, thrusters firing in short, controlled bursts as they skimmed past giant asteroids. The scrape of micrometeorites against the hull whispered secrets of the cosmos, each tiny impact a reminder of the relentless chase. In the galley, the crew members clung to their seats, the taste of adrenaline sharp on their tongues as the ship shuddered with each maneuver. The aroma of coffee lingered in the air, a stark contrast to the sterile scent of the recycled atmosphere, offering a brief reminder of mundane comforts amidst the chaos. "We're burning through fuel at an alarming rate," a young navigator named Micah called out, his voice breaking through the tension. "At this rate, we'll need to find a refueling station soon." Elias nodded, processing the information with a strategist's mind. "Jonah, set up for the next feint. We'll make them think we're running dry, lead them towards the nebula of Nyx." Jonah's eyes lit up with understanding, and he quickly set to work, his commands to the crew painting the illusion of desperation. The Defiance appeared to falter, stuttering like a wounded bird, its path growing increasingly erratic. The ruse did not go unnoticed. "They're taking the bait," Jonah murmured, a grin breaking through his usually stoic demeanor. Elias felt the corners of his mouth twitch in response, his heart pounding in rhythm with the ship's deep, resonant vibrations. He turned to address his crew, his voice rising over the sound of strained metal and electronic beeps. "Hold tight, everyone. This is where we turn the hunter into the hunted." As they approached the nebula, the colors outside shifted, blues and purples bleeding into one another, creating a canvas of celestial mystery. The nebula's gases swirled around them, cloaking the Defiance in a shroud of cosmic dust. "Engage cloaking devices and prepare to cut engines on my mark," Elias instructed, his senses heightened by the electric anticipation of the imminent confrontation. The crew moved with quiet efficiency, each action deliberate and precise, their shared resolve unspoken but palpable. The nebula enveloped them, a silent witness to their cunning. "Now!" Elias's command cut through the silence like a blade. The engines ceased, and the Defiance drifted, a ghost among the stars. Outside, the Dominion, too eager in its chase, barreled forward, its sensors clouded by the nebula's deceptive embrace. Elias watched, a predatory smile spreading slowly. In the quiet of the nebula, where light and sound were swallowed whole, the hunted had become the hunter, and the trap was set. As the Defiance nestled silently within the nebula of Nyx, Captain Elias Ford watched the sensors, which flickered like distant stars on the verge of extinction. The nebula's gases, a ballet of cosmic veils, hid them from the prying eyes of the Dominion. Outside, the nebula painted the void with strokes of indigo and violet, a silent storm of frozen light. "Visuals are limited, Captain. The nebula's interference is more intense than we anticipated," Jonah reported, his voice a calm contrast to the visual chaos displayed on the screens. Elias nodded, his gaze fixed on the swirling patterns of gas and dust. "It's perfect. Let them come closer. Prepare to engage the pulse nets at my command." The crew responded with a nod, their movements as silent as the vacuum enveloping them. The tension was palpable, the anticipation thick enough to choke on. Elias could almost taste the metallic tang of the nebula's particulate matter, a reminder of the volatile beauty surrounding them. From his peripheral vision, Elias noticed Micah, the young navigator, adjusting his console with a steady hand, despite the faint tremor of excitement that seemed to pulse through the young man's veins. "Energy signatures from the Dominion are increasing. They're almost upon us," Micah said, his voice betraying his youth. "Steady," Elias whispered, more to himself than to his crew. He could feel the ship holding its breath, the silence a heavy cloak. It was a moment suspended in time, a prelude to chaos. Suddenly, the nebula around them lit up as if catching fire. A barrage of energy pulses from the Dominion cut through the dust and gas, searching blindly for the Defiance. Each pulse lit the nebula in bursts of eerie light, casting ghostly shadows across the bridge. "Now," Elias said, his voice sharp as a dagger's edge. The Defiance sprang to life, pulse nets firing in orchestrated waves, creating a net of energy that shimmered through the nebula. The effect was immediate and disorienting, reflecting and refracting the Dominion's pulses back upon themselves. Jonah, executing the commands with practiced ease, allowed a small smile to break through his usually impassive demeanor. "Pulse nets are holding. The Dominion is caught in its own light show." The bridge crew watched as the Dominion struggled, its massive silhouette writhing against the net, like a giant ensnared by chains of light. Elias felt a surge of satisfaction, the adrenaline sweet on his tongue mingled with the bitter aftertaste of revenge. Outside, the nebula continued its silent dance, indifferent to the dramas unfolding within its embrace. The lights from the pulse nets and energy pulses painted surreal patterns on the Defiance's hull, casting everyone and everything in hues of desperation and defiance. "Prepare to move out on my mark. We'll use their confusion," Elias instructed, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. "Jonah, take us out, slow and silent." The Defiance moved, gliding through the nebula like a phantom. The Dominion, temporarily blinded and bound by its own weapons, was left floundering in a sea of light and confusion. Elias turned away from the view screen, his crew's faces illuminated by the glow of their consoles, each expression a mixture of relief and resolve. "Let's not overstay our welcome," he concluded, the ghost of a smile touching his lips as they steered their ship deeper into the nebula's heart, away from the chaos they had sown. As the Defiance plunged deeper into the nebula's embrace, Captain Elias Ford maintained his vigil at the helm, the ghostly light from the cosmic clouds casting eerie shadows across his stern features. The ship sliced through the nebula with the grace of a phantom, leaving the confused Dominion stumbling in its wake. "Their signals are fading, Captain. We've got a good lead on them now," Jonah reported, his voice low, blending with the soft whirring of the ship's navigation systems. Elias nodded, feeling the slight shiver of the deck beneath his boots as the ship adjusted its course. "Keep us on this bearing, and scan for an exit point from the nebula. We can't let them pin us down here." The ship responded with the subtlest shift in vibration as Jonah executed the commands. Outside, the nebula swirled with vibrant colors, a cosmic storm of silent fury, its whispers lost in the void. Each particle that struck the view screen glittered briefly, like a star winking out of existence. From the corner of the bridge, Micah spoke up, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "There's an anomaly ahead, Captain. It doesn't match any known patterns or data. Could be a natural formation or not," Elias mused aloud, peering at the data on the screen. The nebula seemed to thicken, the colors deepening to shades of obsidian and jade, hinting at hidden depths and secrets. "Let's approach with caution, reduce speed, keep sensors at maximum." The Defiance slowed, creeping forward as if tiptoeing around the edges of a dream. The bridge crew was silent, each member attuned to the ship's every shudder, the only sound the distant echo of their own breaths recycled through the life support. As they drew nearer, the anomaly resolved into a darker patch in the nebula, a void where not even the nebula's gaseous luminescence penetrated. It was a hole in the heart of the cosmos, an abyss that called to them with a siren's whisper. "Visuals can't penetrate it," Jonah said, frustration edging his normally calm demeanor. "It's like looking into the mouth of a cave, one that could swallow us whole." Elias's hand paused on the console. "Ready all systems. We don't know what's in there, but we're going to find out. Helm, take us in, nice and easy. Nice." The Defiance entered the anomaly, the light from the nebula fading as they passed its threshold. A cool darkness enveloped the ship, the temperature dropping as if they had slipped into the shadow of a world unseen. Inside, the darkness was complete, a blanket that smothered sight and sound. The crew's senses stretched to their limits, straining against the void. Elias could taste the cold on his tongue, metallic and sharp, like a promise or a warning. "Something's out there," Micah whispered, his voice barely audible. "I can feel it, like we're being watched." Elias stood firm, his gaze fixed on the blackness ahead. "Illuminate the forward lights. Let's see what's waiting for us." A burst of light tore through the darkness, and for a moment the void flickered, revealing glimpses of something vast and mysterious, structures that defied explanation, floating like ghosts in the abyss. Then the view was clear, the darkness peeled back by the probing light. "What in the cosmos is that?" Elias breathed, his voice a mix of awe and fear. The bridge was silent, every crew member captivated by the sight. In the depths of the nebula, hidden from all but the most daring, lay the remnants of a civilization lost to time, its secrets preserved in the cold and quiet of space. The mystery deepened, the past reaching out to touch the present, whispering of ancient things best left undiscovered. As the Defiance's lights pierced the enigmatic darkness, revealing the ghostly ruins of an ancient civilization, Captain Elias Ford felt a chill that wasn't due to the nebula's cold embrace. The structures before them were vast, their designs intricate and alien, carved from materials that shimmered with an unnatural iridescence under the ship's beams. "Record all of this, every detail," Elias commanded, his voice steady but his mind racing with the implications of their discovery. The air on the bridge was tense, electric with the thrill of the unknown. Around him, the crew worked quietly, their movements deliberate as they catalogued the impossible. Jonah, always the voice of reason, broke the silence. "There's no record of any civilization in this sector, Captain. Whatever this is, it's not just old. It might as well not exist." Elias nodded, absorbing the weight of the discovery. His fingers grazed the cold metal of the console, the surface smooth and unyielding, much like the mystery unfolding before them. "Micah, any energy readings?" Micah adjusted his instruments, his brow furrowed in concentration. "There's a faint power signature emanating from deeper within the structure. It's unlike anything we've encountered." The decision hung in the air, heavy as the silence that followed. Elias's resolve hardened. "We need to investigate. Prepare a landing party. We're going in." The Defiance maneuvered closer, the ship's exterior groaning softly as they descended toward the alien ruin. The landing party, suited up for unknown conditions, gathered at the airlock, their gear clinking faintly as they moved. Once on the alien surface, the crunch of their boots on the strange, glass-like soil was the only sound in the oppressive stillness. The air was thick with the scent of ozone, a sharp reminder of the ruin's alienness. Elias led the team, his lamp cutting a path through the darkness that seemed to consume the light greedily. The walls of the structure were lined with hieroglyphics, glowing faintly with their own light, the characters dancing before their eyes. "Looks like writing," Jonah observed, tracing the symbols with his gloved finger. "But it's nothing I recognize." Their lamps revealed more of the structure, uncovering a central chamber that housed a device of sorts, a console still faintly pulsing with life. Elias approached it, his heart pounding in his ears. The air was cooler here, the atmosphere charged with a palpable tension. He extended a hand toward the console, the symbols illuminating at his touch. The ground vibrated underfoot, a low rumble that grew in intensity, stirring the dust around them. "Captain!" Micah called out, his voice urgent. "The structure is powering up. Something's happening." Elias withdrew his hand, but the luminescence of the console grew stronger, brighter. A map hologram sprang to life above the console, displaying star systems and galaxies in a network of lines and nodes. Jonah whistled softly. It's a map. But of what? Or a warning, Elias muttered, peering closer. The hologram flickered, one of the nodes pulsing red, then expanding to show a familiar system, their own. As they watched, the red pulse began a slow, inexorable spread across the map, a tide of crimson swallowing stars. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine, the implications of their find dawning on him. We need to understand this fast, he stated, his gaze locked on the creeping red. Whatever this is, it's not just history, it's a message, and it's for us. As the pulsing red on the holographic map continued to spread, signaling a silent and creeping doom, Captain Elias Ford's thoughts raced. The air in the ancient chamber felt charged, each breath heavy with the taste of cold, metallic fear. This isn't just a map, it's a prophecy, he murmured, staring at the expanding crimson tide. Elias turned to Jonah, who was scrutinizing the data on his portable scanner, the device's light casting eerie shadows across his focused face. We need to decipher this, Jonah. Any clues from the symbols? Elias asked, his voice echoing slightly in the vast, deserted chamber. Jonah adjusted the scanner, his fingers moving with practiced precision. The symbols are partly cryptographic, but there's a pattern. It looks like a warning system, possibly automated and set to activate upon certain conditions. The ground beneath them felt unnervingly solid, as if the ancient civilization had built it to last through eons, the air whispering secrets of a long-lost epoch. The faint glow from the console illuminated their faces, casting them in a spectral light, while the taste of stale, recycled air lingered on their tongues. Let's gather all the data we can and analyze it back on the Defiance, Elias decided, his resolve firming. This place isn't just a ruin, it's a beacon. The team made their way back to the ship, their movement swift yet cautious, each step crunching softly on the crystalline ground. As they ascended from the alien structure, the change from the oppressive silence of the ruin to the soft, operational sounds of the Defiance was palpable. Back on the bridge, Elias watched as the holographic map they had recorded was replayed. The red wave continued its relentless advance across the hologram, a silent scream in the void. We need to understand where this threat is originating and what triggers it. Ideas, he prompted the crew. Micah, who had been quietly analyzing the background radiation levels, spoke up. The energy signature suggests that the trigger might be linked to spatial anomalies. Perhaps something like a black hole or a star nearing supernova could set it off. Jonah nodded in agreement, tapping at his console to overlay astrophysical data onto the holographic map. There's a deteriorating binary star system within this cluster. It could be reaching critical status soon. If we're right, it might be the trigger. Elias leaned forward, his gaze intense. Set course for that system. We need to see this for ourselves. As the Defiance maneuvered out of the nebula, the stars outside seemed to watch in silent anticipation. The ship cut through the cosmos, its destination a mystery that held possibly dire consequences, not just for them, but for the entire galaxy. The crew's senses were heightened, the air buzzing with the tension of impending discovery. As the stars blurred into lines of light with the acceleration, Elias felt the familiar thrill of the unknown. The scent of ozone from the ship's high-energy systems mixed with the faint odor of apprehension that seemed to permeate the bridge. We're on the edge of something monumental, Elias said, more to himself than to anyone else, as the binary star system grew larger on their approach. What awaited them there was unknown, a puzzle millennia in the making, now resurfacing with potentially catastrophic implications. As the Defiance neared the binary star system, the view from the bridge was a theater of celestial drama. The twin stars danced around each other, their fiery plumes casting a haunting glow that flickered across Captain Elias Ford's intent face. The light from the stars painted sharp contrasts over the crew's features, every line and angle thrown into stark relief. Almost there, Captain. The stars are showing signs of instability. This could be what we're looking for, Jonah said, his voice carrying a mix of awe and concern as he monitored the pulsating stars on his screen. Elias nodded, his eyes never leaving the viewport. "Micah, what's the status on the local space fabric? Any anomalies we should be worried about?" "Scans show significant gravitational distortions. It's like a spider's web, Captain. If anything large moves through here, it could set off a chain reaction," Micah reported, adjusting his instruments to better capture the data flickering across his console. The air on the bridge was thick with the scent of ionization, a byproduct of the ship passing through the intense magnetic fields thrown off by the binary stars. The taste of copper was sharp on their tongues, a constant reminder of the invisible forces at play around them. "Prepare to deploy the probes. We need a closer look at the interaction between these stars. Perhaps they hold the key to understanding the map's warning," Elias decided, his voice resolute. Jonah coordinated the probe launch, his hands moving with practiced ease. "Probes away, Captain. We should have data streaming back any minute now." As they waited, the Defiance shuddered slightly, a subtle reminder of the powerful cosmic forces surrounding them. The star's light reflected off the ship's hull, casting dancing patterns of light and shadow across the bridge. Suddenly, the console beeped loudly, signaling the return of data. Jonah quickly analyzed the incoming information, his brow furrowing in concentration. "Captain, you need to see this. The probes have detected an increase in the rate of energy exchange between the stars. It's building towards something massive." Elias leaned over the console, studying the patterns. "Could be a supernova or maybe something we've not even considered. Keep an eye on those readings. We don't want to be caught off guard." The mystery of the ancient warning felt closer to unraveling, each piece of data adding to a tapestry of danger and intrigue. Elias felt the weight of their discovery, a burden and a privilege woven together. "Captain, there's something else," Micah interrupted, his voice tense. "The probes have triggered a response. Something's activating within the star system, a structure, hidden in the flux of the stars." On the screen, an object began to materialize, outlined by the starlight. It was unlike any technology they had seen, its structure complex and ominous. Elias straightened, his instincts on high alert. "On screen, everyone. Looks like we've found what the map was warning us about." The crew gathered around, eyes wide as the structure slowly revealed itself, a relic of an ancient technology awakened by their presence. The air was electric with anticipation and fear, each breath they took charged with the gravity of their find. "What have we awakened?" Elias whispered, more to himself than anyone else. As the alien structure powered up, its purpose unknown but undoubtedly formidable, the Defiance stood at the ready, a lone sentinel in the shadow of awakening gods. As the ancient structure awakened from its celestial slumber, a low, resonating thrum filled the Defiance. It wasn't a sound exactly, but a vibration that could be felt in the bones, an unsettling reminder of the power they had disturbed. The binary stars cast their fierce glow on the structure, revealing its full magnitude, a behemoth of unknown metals and energy, pulsing with a life of its own. "Analysis now," Captain Elias Ford commanded, his voice cutting through the awe-stricken silence of the bridge. The crew snapped into action, the air filled with the soft clicks of buttons and the swiping of screens as they raced to gather data. Jonah, focused intently on his monitor, broke the tension. "It's not just a structure, Captain. It's a device, possibly a weapon. It's charging, drawing energy from the stars themselves." The revelation hung heavily in the air, tainted with the metallic tang of fear. Elias paced the bridge, his steps deliberate, the soft echo of his boots on the metal floor a stark contrast to the chaotic data streaming in. "What's the scale of the threat?" Elias asked, turning to face his crew, his gaze sharp. "It could destabilize the entire star system," Micah replied, his voice steady despite the gravity of his words. "If it fully activates, it won't just send ripples across this sector, it could create a chain reaction through the galaxy." The taste of urgency was palpable as Elias processed the information. "We need options. Any way to communicate with it? To shut it down?" Jonah adjusted a dial, enhancing the image of the structure on the main screen. "There might be a control center. Here." He pointed to a section that pulsed more brightly than the rest. "If we can get inside, we might be able to interface directly. The decision was made. "Prepare a shuttle team. I'm going in," Elias declared, his decision final, the room filling with a mix of resolve and dread. As preparations began, the scent of ozone permeated from the high-energy shields being powered up around the shuttle bay. The shuttle itself, a small vessel capable of nimble maneuvers, was quickly equipped with the necessary tools and interfaces for the mission. Jonah, pulling Elias aside, handed him a portable device. "This might help communicate with the alien system. It's programmed to translate basic universal tech commands." Elias clutched the device, its surface cool and sleek against his palm, a stark reminder of the thin line between technology and understanding. "Keep the engines hot. If this goes south, I want us ready to move at a moment's notice." The shuttle launched, its departure quiet in the vacuum of space, a silent dart plunging into the heart of a mystery millions of years in the making. As the Defiance loomed in the background, a silent guardian watching over its captain, the crew held their breath, the bridge bathed in the bluish hue of the starlight. Elias, now isolated in the shuttle, watched the structure grow closer, its details more intimidating with each passing second. The shuttle's lights played over the surface of the device, shadows dancing in the grooves and glyphs of its surface, each one a silent sentinel to a forgotten purpose. "What are you?" he whispered to himself, the weight of the unknown pressing down upon him. As the shuttle touched down on the cold, hard surface of the alien structure, the true test of their discovery and their courage was about to begin. The shuttle's hatch opened with a quiet hiss, releasing a blast of cold, stale air that washed over Captain Elias Ford as he stepped onto the alien structure. The surface beneath his boots was smooth, almost glass-like, reflecting the shuttle's lights in a kaleidoscope of eerie shadows. Each breath he took was a mix of excitement and caution, the air inside the structure tasting faintly metallic, a remnant of ancient technologies long dormant. Elias moved forward, his handheld device casting a pale blue light ahead, illuminating the intricate carvings and strange symbols etched into the walls. The silence was absolute, the quiet so intense it seemed to press against his eardrums. He was a speck of life in a vast, forgotten tomb. "Jonah, you're seeing this?" Elias whispered into his comlink, his voice low, almost reverent. "Loud and clear, Captain. The scans are incredible. Proceed with caution," came Jonah's reply, his voice a lifeline back to the Defiance. As Elias ventured deeper into the structure, the air grew cooler, the change subtle but noticeable. His breath formed small clouds of vapor, floating away in the dim light of his handheld. The walls began to converge as he approached what appeared to be the central chamber, the heart of the structure where energy pulsed more intensely, visible even to the naked eye. The central chamber was a marvel of alien architecture, vast and domed, with a ceiling that arched overhead like the inside of a cathedral. At its center stood a dais, and atop it an apparatus that thrummed with a soft, pulsing glow. It was the source of the energy spike, the heart of the alien warning system. Elias approached the dais cautiously, his device held out before him like a shield. The air around the apparatus was warmer, and the scent of ozone was strong, tingling in his nostrils. He reached out, his fingers brushing against the machine. It was smooth and warm, the surface vibrating under his touch with the power of a sleeping giant. "Attempting interface now," Elias said, connecting his device to the console. The alien technology came alive under his touch, lights flickering across its surface in a dazzling display of colors. The device beeped softly, a sound of success. "Connection established. I'm downloading the data," Elias reported, watching as information streamed across his device's screen, data encrypted in a language of lights and patterns. The ground shook suddenly, a subtle tremor that sent a ripple of alarm through him. "Jonah, the structure's reacting to the interface." "Readings are off the charts, Captain. Whatever you're doing, it's waking something up," Jonah's voice crackled through the comlink, tense and alert. Elias watched in awe and trepidation as the walls of the chamber began to illuminate, revealing a network of lines and glyphs that spread like the veins of a living organism. The apparatus on the dais shone brighter, a beacon in the dark heart of the alien world. "Captain, you need to see this." Jonah's voice was urgent now. "The data, it's not just a map. It's a legacy, a message left by a civilization facing extinction. And it's not just a warning, it's a solution." Elias felt a surge of adrenaline as the pieces began to fall into place. "Keep that data coming, Jonah. We might just have found the key to saving our galaxy." As he stood in the glowing chamber surrounded by the whispers of a long-dead civilization, Elias Ford realized they were not just explorers, but guardians of a legacy that spanned the stars. The mystery deepened, beckoning them to uncover truths meant not just for the past, but for the future of all sentient life. As Captain Elias Ford absorbed the gravity of their discovery within the alien chamber, the structure continued its slow, rhythmic pulsation, its walls aglow with ancient symbols. With each pulse, the light intensified, casting an otherworldly hue on Elias's determined face. The air was thick with a tangy electric taste, a physical manifestation of the energy coursing through the ancient edifice. "Captain, the data. It's a blueprint and a distress signal intertwined," Jonah's voice crackled through, urgent yet filled with awe. "According to this, their son was dying, and they built this device as both a beacon and a shield." Elias paced the chamber, the echo of his footsteps mingling with the soft vibrations underfoot, the alien floor smooth and cool against his boots. "A shield? To protect against what?" he queried, his voice echoing slightly in the vast chamber. "The collapse of their star into a black hole. This device wasn't just a warning. It was their final defense, a way to stabilize the star temporarily," Jonah explained, his voice a beacon of clarity in the midst of swirling cosmic uncertainties. The revelation sent a shiver down Elias's spine, the implications vast and daunting. He brushed his hand against the console, feeling the slight warmth of the alien metal, its surface engraved with patterns that seemed to whisper secrets of a desperate, ancient technology. "We need to replicate this technology, Jonah. If it can stabilize a star—" Elias's voice trailed off, the potential to avert cosmic disasters hanging palpably in the air like the charged particles that danced across the device. Jonah was silent for a moment, processing the monumental task ahead. "It'll take time, Captain. We'll need to understand the principles behind it fully. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Elias nodded, resolute. "Start the preparations. We'll need every bit of data translated and analyzed. I'll head back to the Defiance now. Keep scanning the structure. We can't afford to miss anything." As he made his way back to the shuttle, the chamber continued to illuminate his path, the lights dimming as if bidding farewell to their visitor. The air grew cooler as he exited, the taste of ancient dust bitter on his tongue, a stark reminder of the desolation that awaited any civilization that failed to protect itself from the ravages of the cosmos. Upon returning to the Defiance, Elias was met with a mix of apprehension and determination from his crew. The bridge was abuzz with activity, every member of the team engaged in deciphering the wealth of information they had gathered. "We're setting a course back to Earth," Elias announced as he stepped onto the bridge, the familiar scent of recycled air welcoming him back. "We have a potential solution to a problem we didn't even know existed until today." The crew nodded, their faces set with the seriousness of their mission. As the Defiance maneuvered out of the alien structure's embrace and back into the starlit void, the stars seemed to watch in silent anticipation, the mysteries of the universe unfolding before them like a map to the future. Elias stood at the viewport, watching as the alien structure receded into the darkness, its pulse a faint light in the distance. "This is just the beginning," he murmured to himself, the weight of their discovery grounding him, yet urging him forward. The journey ahead was uncertain, but the path was clear, guided by the light of ancient stars and the promise of salvation they now carried within their grasp. As the Defiance carved its path back through the cosmos towards Earth, Captain Elias Ford stood at the viewport, watching the stars streak by. The silence of the bridge was palpable, each crew member absorbed in their tasks, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of their consoles. The taste of anticipation was sharp on Elias's tongue, the air filled with the electric tang of a mission charged with gravity. "We've got a course plotted for Earth, Captain. We should arrive in time to present our findings and start work on the adaptation of this technology," Jonah reported, his voice steady but carrying an undercurrent of urgency. Elias nodded, his eyes never leaving the viewport. "Keep me updated on any changes in star behavior along our path. We can't afford any surprises," he said, the scent of coffee mingling strangely with the recycled air, a reminder of the ship's comforting mundanities amidst their monumental discovery. As the ship hurtled through space, Micah approached Elias, a pad in his hands displaying fluctuating data graphs. "Captain, I've been monitoring the decay patterns of nearby unstable stars. There seems to be a correlation between their instability and the ancient technology we discovered. This could give us more insight into how the device functions." Elias turned, his interest piqued. "Show me," he commanded, his voice low. Micah handed him the pad, and Elias studied the graphs, his brow furrowed in concentration. The patterns were a symphony of chaos and order, the silent music of the universe revealing secrets in waves and particles. "Potentially, this technology could stabilize these stars, prevent them from going supernova," Micah explained, his tone reflective, "but the application could be risky without full understanding." The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Elias's shoulders, the cold truth of their task a stark contrast to the warmth of the ship's interior. "Prepare a detailed report. We'll need all the data we can get for the teams back on Earth. This isn't just about us or the Defiance anymore. This is about the future of all inhabited systems." As the hours passed, the Defiance continued its journey, the bridge quiet except for the occasional report or adjustment. The scent of ozone flickered faintly as the ship's systems worked overtime, processing the data and maintaining course. Jonah stood from his station, stretching slightly. "We're approaching a minor asteroid field. Nothing the Defiance can't handle, but it'll require manual navigation to get through safely." Elias approached the helm, his hands ready at the controls. "I'll take over. Let's see what this old girl can do." The slight vibration of the deck under his feet was reassuring, the ship responding to his touch as he navigated through the field, asteroids gliding silently past the viewport. With each maneuver, Elias felt a surge of connection to the ship, the Defiance almost an extension of his own will. The stars outside provided a backdrop of infinite depth, the universe watching silently as they made their way home. "Captain, long-range sensors are picking up a distress signal," Micah suddenly announced, his voice cutting through the tranquility of the moment. Elias straightened, his gaze snapping back to the front. "Source?" "Unknown, but it's coming from near our path. Coordinates are aligning now," Micah responded, updating the main display. Elias considered the blinking marker on the screen, the mystery of the signal beckoning. "Alter course. Let's investigate. Whoever they are, they might need our help. And this could be another piece of the puzzle we're trying to solve." As the Defiance changed course, the unknown awaited them, each possibility a thread in the vast tapestry of the cosmos, ready to be unraveled by those brave enough to pull. As the Defiance altered its course toward the distress signal, Captain Elias Ford felt the tension rise on the bridge. Each crew member was attuned to the ship's new mission, their senses heightened by the unexpected detour. The cold void of space seemed to press closer against the viewports, the darkness punctuated by the distant, flickering light of stars. "Signal's origin is coming up on the display now," Micah announced, his eyes never leaving his monitor. "It's weak, but there's definitely someone out there." Elias nodded, his gaze fixed on the forward screen, where a small, blinking icon represented the source of the distress call. The sharp tang of anticipation mingled with the recycled air, reminding everyone on board of the stakes involved with every maneuver through the unknown. "Prepare for possible hostile activity," Elias instructed firmly. The Defiance was not just a ship of exploration, it was also a vessel of rescue and defense. "Jonah, bring shields to operational standby and charge the pulse lasers just in case," Jonah acknowledged with a brisk nod, his fingers dancing across the control panel with practiced ease. The ship responded, the subtle change in the engine's thrum indicating their readiness to confront whatever awaited them. As they approached the coordinates, a derelict spacecraft emerged from the shadows of a nearby asteroid, its hull scarred and pitted from apparent meteor strikes. The craft was adrift, its emergency lights flickering weakly against the canvas of space. Visual on screen. That's a civilian research vessel, the Artemis, Jonah identified, enhancing the image. It's been listed as missing for over a year. Elias's eyes narrowed as he considered their approach. Life signs? Checking now, Micah responded, adjusting the sensors to penetrate the crippled ship's hull. After a tense moment, he exhaled softly. There are life signs, Captain. Weak, but definitely there. Looks like they've been surviving on emergency power. The realization that they had stumbled upon a long-lost ship gave the rescue an added urgency. Elias's decision was immediate. Prepare a boarding party. We're going in. Micah, you're with me. Jonah, you have the bridge. The transition from the bridge to the shuttle bay was swift, the corridor echoing with the soft clang of their boots. The smell of lubricant and metal filled the shuttle bay, a stark reminder of the Defiance's readiness for any situation. Boarding the Artemis was like stepping into a time capsule, the interior dark and silent, the air stale and tinged with the acrid scent of burnt circuits. Using their helmet lights to navigate the gloom, Elias and Micah moved towards the life support module, their path marked by debris and discarded personal items, silent testimonies to the crew's desperate struggle to survive. In the life support area, they found the crew of the Artemis, unconscious but alive, their bodies cocooned in survival blankets that hummed softly with the last whispers of power. Let's get them back to the Defiance. They need medical attention, Elias said, checking the vitals of the nearest crew member. His voice was soft but carried the weight of command. Back on the Defiance, as the rescued crew received medical care, Elias reviewed the Artemis's data logs. The ship had encountered a similar anomaly as the one they had researched, suggesting a pattern that might provide clues to the ancient technology they carried. We need to analyze this data thoroughly, Elias mused, a strategic glint in his eye. It's not just about rescue. It's about understanding. This could help us prevent other disasters. As the Defiance resumed its course, the rescued crew slowly recuperated, their stories untold but vital, adding pieces to the intricate puzzle the universe had thrown at them. The ship sailed onward, its mission growing clearer with each revelation, its crew bound by a renewed sense of purpose and determination. With the rescued crew of the Artemis safely aboard and recovering, Captain Elias Ford shifted his focus back to the broader implications of their discoveries. In the quiet of the Defiance's command center, Elias and his team pored over the collected data, the screens casting a soft glow that reflected off-intent faces. The room was filled with the low buzz of concentrated activity, a stark contrast to the vast silence that enveloped them outside. Captain, we've integrated the Artemis's data with our findings, Jonah reported, his voice cutting crisply through the murmurs of the bridge crew. It appears there are similar energy patterns at several sites across this sector. It's a network, a defense mechanism, spanning multiple star systems. Elias leaned over the maps displayed, his fingers tracing the lines that interconnected the sites. So, these aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a larger system, possibly designed to stabilize stars or even entire systems, he mused aloud, the weight of the potential technology's impact heavy in his voice. We need a plan to access these sites, study them, perhaps even learn to manipulate them, Elias continued, turning to face his crew. If we can harness this technology, we could prevent cataclysmic events, protect planets, maybe even more. The strategy was bold, ambitious, and fraught with risks. Elias proposed sending teams to the identified sites equipped with the best technology the Defiance could offer, trained to gather as much information as possible without triggering the systems. Jonah nodded, his expression resolute. We'll need to prepare for every possible scenario. These systems weren't designed for us to tamper with. There could be safeguards we can't even imagine. Preparations began immediately. The ship's environment was a hive of activity, the air tinged with the metallic scent of machinery being prepped, and the sharp tang of synthetic lubricants. Every tool and piece of equipment was meticulously checked and loaded into the shuttles, the soft clatter and clang of metal a constant backdrop to the strategic discussions taking place. As the first team readied to depart, Elias pulled Micah aside, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. "You're leading the first team. Keep your eyes open, record everything, but above all, stay safe. We don't know what we're dealing with." Micah, his face set with determination, nodded. "We'll be cautious, Captain. We have a chance here to change things for the better. We won't waste it." With a final check of their equipment, the team boarded the shuttle, the airlock closing with a soft thud that resonated more deeply than the sound itself. As the shuttle detached and drifted towards the first site, Elias watched from the command center, the silence of space swallowing the small craft as it headed into the unknown. Back on the Defiance, Elias turned back to the remaining crew. "Let's monitor their progress closely. We need to be ready to respond at a moment's notice. This is uncharted territory in every sense." The mission ahead was clear, yet shrouded in mystery. Each team member knew the stakes. The silence of anticipation was palpable, the taste of potential discovery bittersweet on their tongues. As the shuttle disappeared from view, a new chapter in their voyage was beginning, one that could potentially redefine humanity's place in the cosmos. As the shuttle teams dispatched from the Defiance returned, each bore data that could change the course of humanity's future. In the ship's main hall, Captain Elias Ford stood before a holographic display, the intricate network of ancient star-stabilizing technology spread out before him, pulsing gently with a light that seemed almost alive. The air was thick with the electric anticipation of monumental discovery, each breath drawn by the crew laced with the thrill of standing on the brink of a new era. "Micah, report," Elias commanded, his voice resonant in the quiet that had settled over the crew, a quiet born of awe and respect for their achievement. Micah stepped forward, the data pad in his hand glowing softly. "Captain, all teams have successfully gathered comprehensive data from the sites. We've confirmed the technology is designed to stabilize stars on the brink of collapse, potentially saving billions of lives." The room erupted in a subdued yet palpable wave of excitement. Elias raised his hand, calling for silence. "This is more than a scientific breakthrough. This is a testament to what humanity can achieve. Today, we stand not as conquerors, but as guardians. Guardians of the light, of life." Jonah, who had been quietly observing from the sidelines, stepped forward, his expression solemn. "The implications are vast, Captain. With this technology, we could prevent the extinction of entire civilizations. We could change the galaxy," Elias finished for him, his gaze sweeping over his crew, each member reflecting a piece of the journey they had undertaken. "Yes, and that's exactly what we'll do. We will share this knowledge, ensure it's used for the good of all." The bridge, usually a place of commands and controlled chaos, had turned into a ground of quiet reflection. Elias walked slowly to the viewport, looking out at the stars, their light no longer just points in the dark, but symbols of hope. "This is our legacy," Elias continued, his voice deep and moving. "From the crew of the Defiance to all of humanity and beyond, we didn't just find ancient technology, we found a new path for the future." The silence that followed was filled with the weight of his words, the stars outside twinkling as if in approval. Micah finally broke the reverie. "It's an honor, Captain, to be part of this. It's more than any of us could have asked for." Elias turned from the viewport, his eyes meeting those of his crew, his family. "Prepare to set course back to Earth. It's time to go home and spread the word. The galaxy awaits our good news." As the Defiance turned towards Earth, the stars seemed to align, guiding them home. The journey back was filled with preparations, reports and simulations, but also with stories. Stories of bravery, of discovery, and of humanity's unyielding spirit. When they finally arrived, the welcome was beyond anything they had imagined. Humanity had not just survived, it had thrived, bolstered by the promise of a future safeguarded by their own hands. Captain Elias Ford, looking out over the crowd that had gathered to celebrate their return, knew that this was just the beginning. Today, we did more than survive. We ensured that the future could laugh in the face of darkness. As Captain Elias Ford stood before the assembly of Earth's leaders, with the eyes of the world upon him, the weight of his words was matched only by the silence that awaited them. The chamber, usually abuzz with the whispers and murmurings of political discourse, held its breath as he began to speak, his voice echoing with the gravity of history in the making. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at a crossroads not just for our planet, but for all known life in the galaxy, Elias began, his gaze sweeping across the room, capturing the rapt attention of every attendee. The Defiance has returned, not with a message of warning, but with one of hope. Pausing for effect, Elias allowed the significance of his words to permeate the room. We have uncovered a technology, ancient yet advanced beyond our wildest imaginings. This technology has the power to stabilize stars, to prevent catastrophic cosmic events, and to ensure the survival of countless civilizations. A murmur of disbelief mixed with awe rippled through the chamber. Elias raised his hand, beckoning silence once more. I know how this sounds, like something out of a storybook, but the evidence we have brought back is irrefutable. We have tested it, understood it, and now we stand ready to share it. The air was charged with a palpable sense of wonder, and the faint scent of aged wood and polished stone of the chamber lent a timeless quality to the moment. Elias continued, "This is our chance to extend a hand not just across nations but across galaxies, to redefine what it means to be human in the vast expanse of the cosmos." Jonah, standing off to the side, watched the leaders absorb the magnitude of Elias's words. The soft light of the chamber highlighted the mixed expressions of incredulity and curiosity on their faces. "We have named this mission Project Luminary," Elias declared, his voice firm with resolve. "It symbolizes our role not as inhabitants of the galaxy, but as its caretakers. As we have been guarded by the light of our sun, so too shall we become guardians for others." The chamber erupted into an intense discussion, the sound of voices a testament to the revolutionary nature of the disclosure. Yet amidst the cacophony, a clear voice rang out, "How can we be sure this will work? That it won't be turned against us?" Elias met the question with a steady gaze. "Because we must choose to lead not out of fear, but out of hope. We are the first to discover this, which means we set the precedent for how it's used. We can be the beacon." As the debates continued, the consensus grew clearer with each passing moment. Humanity would step forward into this new era, an era where they reached out with open hands, where they healed dying stars and with them, dying hopes. As the assembly adjourned, the media swarmed, their cameras flashing, capturing the moment when humanity charted a new course. Elias, surrounded by his crew, felt a deep, fulfilling peace. "To the stars, not to conquer, but to heal," Elias whispered to Jonah as they walked out of the chamber, the doors closing behind them with a soft, conclusive thud. Outside, the world awaited the dawn of a new age, under skies that would remain bright for millennia to come. Laughter echoing through the cosmos, a testament to humanity's indomitable spirit.